What's up, guys, and welcome back to this week's episode of Off the Bounce. I'm your host, Dylan McElroy, and it's August 21st. We got a few topics to cover today, such as the firing of Alvin Gentry, the dilemma that the Milwaukee Bucks might be facing at the end of the year, and finally, the Lakers playoffs so far. But first, let's roll that intro.
Off the bounce, I'ma get it in. Off the bounce, I'ma get it in. 3-point shot, I'm flicking my wrist. Seeing me shoot, I swear I don't miss. Throwing it up, but you're going like swish. Raining the buckets, we do it like this. Off the bounce, I'ma get it in. Off the bounce, I'ma get it in. Off the bounce.
Like I usually do whenever we have a local story, let's jump right into what the Pelicans decided to do with their coaching situation. The Pelicans decided to fire coach Alvin Gentry after only 5 seasons after they were kicked out the bubble. Now, I know many of you are thinking, finally. I have close friends that thought that he was the biggest problem with this organization, and I know they're a little happy that he's gone. But I have to tell you this. It is absolutely not fair what the Pelicans organization is doing to Coach Gentry. Now, granted, he's only had 5 years to be the coach, and that's actually a really long time. You figure by then, the rookies that he had 5 years ago are starting to develop into something. The team that he had 5 years ago should start playing in his system and everything like that. But I want y'all to realize that in these 5 years that Coach Gentry has been there, not only has he had to deal with 4 years of a GM like Dell Demps that didn't get fired until this past offseason whenever he dropped the ball on the Anthony Davis trade request. So we have to take that into account. Then I want y'all to realize that for these 5 years that he's been there, there's been nothing but injuries. And if you just look in these past 3 years, he had to deal with the injury of Zion Williamson, the trade request of Anthony Davis, and the injury of DeMarcus Cousins. Y'all got to realize that this man never really had a fair shot before y'all go out there and criticize. Now, if y'all want to fire somebody, I believe that you fire that medical staff. Because I've been preaching this for years, that there should be no reason why. I remember 2, 3, 4 years back, something like that, they had 4 of their 5 starters were out. And it's ridiculous. And now you can look back at who they had, players like Anthony Davis, who has shown that he's kind of injury prone, but Drew Holiday has been injured. Eric Gordon was injured while he was with them. And the list can go on and on. Tyreek Evans, those players. So, and then you look at what these players that leave actually become, whenever they're healthy. Eric Gordon is now a 6-man player of the year, and Tyreek Evans, even though he is suspended right now from the league, whenever I think he was with Memphis, he showed flashes of that former self, that rookie of the year self that he was at the Kings before he came to New Orleans. And it all stems from them never being healthy. So I just want to get that out there, that the medical staff has been needed to get fired. And my second thing that I would do is I think that they need a new owner. Ms. Bempson needs to sell this team to somebody that actually cares about basketball. Because clearly, and this happens in a town like New Orleans where they're so focused on football, but you can't be solely focused on football whenever you also own the team's only NBA basketball franchise. A franchise that was really fought for to stay here. So if they aren't going to give these people a fair shot, medical staff, training staff, or these people that can reduce injuries and reduce coaches who just so happen to fall in this situation to get fired, then I think they need to sell the team to somebody that actually gives a damn. That being said, they do have a few coaches in the running for this position. I've heard names such as Sam Cassell, Jason Kidd, and Tyronn Lue. I think if I got to pick out of just those 3, those are the 3 I've heard from, but out of those 3, I think you probably go with a coach like Tyronn Lue. Lue has coached He's coaching the LA. He's an assistant coach for the LA Clippers right now, which LA is a big time basketball city. So he has that experience, and not only that, he coached, which is the face of the league, in LeBron James not that long ago. So I think that he has maybe the mental fortitude to deal with a superstar such as Zion. But yeah, that's what I had to say about this topic. I don't feel that Gentry was given a fair shot. I'm not saying you're wrong if you believe that he was. I just think it definitely needs to be looked a little more into than just, oh, thank God, it was all the coach's fault, and so on and so forth. The next thing I'd like to bring up is a dilemma that might be facing the Milwaukee Bucks at the end of this postseason. If I'm Milwaukee, I'm scared right now. They dropped the game earlier this week against in the first round against the Orlando Magic, and luckily they showed pretty much that they got their stuff together in this game that just happened last night, actually winning by a pretty decent margin. The margin of games that we kind of figured that this team should be beating Orlando Magic. But if the Orlando Magic manage to get another win on this team, then whenever they go up against that Heat team that is looking to close off that series, that Heat team's going to be well rested, and the Milwaukee Bucks are going to be a little bit more sluggish, tired, and I feel like the Miami Heat, even if they would go into a 7-game series with the Pacers, should be a feared team for Milwaukee because they're very defensive, and I feel like they can play mind games with them. So there's that's going on, and then not only that, they have to face the Heat no matter what, and I just feel I've already called it at the beginning of the series that I expect the Toronto Raptors to be the team that meets whoever's coming out of the West. I just do. I feel like they really didn't lose a beat after losing Kawhi. So, but even if they're not the ones that come out on that other side, then you have the Celtics to deal with. And if either one of those teams are going up against the Bucks, even if they make it to the Eastern Conference Final, I don't see them going past that. And that's going to be a real problem for Milwaukee because I think in order to keep Giannis, you have to at least make the finals this year. If you don't make the finals, you can kiss him goodbye pretty much. Now, I don't see the Greek Freak as a super team kind of guy. I feel like he's going to go to a team that has nice pieces. They're just missing him, which aren't we all? But I think a team, and it's going to be one of these two teams that could potentially knock him out in the next couple of days. I'd really like to see him go to Miami. I figure, you come from a place like Milwaukee who has really cold winters and everything like that, and you move down to South Beach. Nothing but sunny. They have a great culture over there. They're known for being hard workers. Talents like Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo are there. So, not really a super team, but there's definitely all-stars down there. And they're pretty much surrounded with shooters, and that just works perfectly for Giannis. So I do see him going there, and then my second pick would be that other team that I think could possibly knock him out, and that is Toronto, due to his ties with Masai Ujiri. Masai is actually friends with Giannis's parents. I believe he helped move Giannis's family from Africa to Greece, so a family friend might want to go up there, and they're still competing. And I mean, without Kawhi Leonard, they're still the second team in the East, and it's pretty close. And you figure you throw Giannis onto that, they're definitely contenders for the next couple of years, especially with the coaching of Nick Nurse. So, Milwaukee, you need to get it together, figure out what y'all need to do to close out these series, close them out quick, and get Giannis to the finals, because if you don't, I do fear that you will lose him. So we're going to take a quick break. We're going to show you an update of the playoff standings right now, and we're going to show you the games that are coming on tonight, and we're going to be right back with the Lakers. All right, so the biggest story happening this week was how bad the Lakers dropped Game 1 of Round 1 of the playoffs. Now, in Game 1, it was probably the most dysfunctional game I've ever seen by this team, probably all season. They played decent defense, surprisingly, but their offense was just terrible. Like, terrible. LeBron's probably the only bright spot for this game because he ended up finished with a 20, 15, and 15 night, a historic night, only one to ever do it. But I feel like he might have had 20 assists in this game if any of his shooters could hit anything besides the backboard. The shooting performance in this game from Caldwell Pope and Danny Green, who are starters right now, it was just atrocious. At the end of the night, they ended up finishing with 5 and 32 from the three-point line, which compared to Portland going 38% from the three, that is not going to win you a game. And if it does, I'm surprised. You did something remarkable, or maybe they just didn't shoot that many threes. So that happened. And then Anthony Davis is one of my favorite players. So I hate whenever I gotta go after him, but I absolutely have to go after him right now. He started the game rough. I think he was like 1 for 8 until the second quarter. And you see him, he was finally in the paint. And he wasn't really scoring, but he was drawing fouls. And he was making those fouls. Then LeBron came off the bench and it looked like he started clicking. And I'm like, all right, cool, we might be able to pull something. I think they got a little bit of a lead until like towards the end of the third. I think Portland came back. I don't really remember. But then you see as the game goes on, instead of Anthony Davis staying down there playing contact, you got Carmelo Anthony guarding you or Yusuf Nurkic, which, no disrespect to those gentlemen, but they're not on your league. Take them to the paint. Do what you do. I mean, unless Hassan Whiteside's back there, that's the only man you might be able to be afraid of, and that's if he came to play. But instead of doing that, we see Anthony Davis slowly start trailing out to this three-point line. He airballed a couple threes. I remember seeing that. I'm like, what are you doing, AD? And then the icing on the cake is that fourth quarter, which he and LeBron actually missed game-tying free throw shots. But I don't remember anything about Anthony Davis in the fourth quarter. I know he had to be playing because it was a close game, but I don't remember anything he did in that fourth quarter. Nothing spoke out to me, and trying to draw back on memory, there's none that I can really think of other than missing shots. I feel like the Lakers took their foot off the gas in the bubble. They got it to where they were clinching the conference, and they're like, all right, we're good. And so you figure they did that 3 games into the bubble, so they had the 5 games left of the bubble, and then the game earlier in this week. And it's like, did they not realize that they're in the playoffs now? That like this team, Portland, is on a roll, and that if you don't go out there and punch them in the mouth, then they're going to punch you in the mouth. They're a very scrappy team. They're not the best defensively, even though they did play defense good that game. They're just a scrappy team. So I feel like they took their foot off the gas and they were having trouble doing it. And reports just keep coming out about how LeBron and Anthony Davis are refusing shoot-arounds. It's like, for what? Like, what are you so busy? You're in the bubble. If you, like, go out there and shoot, put your hands on the ball, see some shots go in. Maybe then you'll stop airballing the ball. All in all, I feel like they tried to beat Portland that night by being Portland, and that's just not their game. They tried to be quick and just shoot, and it really didn't work out for them. And that's all I really have to say about Game 1. But they really showed that they do have a chance last night. Anthony Davis, for whatever reason, came out and how I said that they needed to go out and punch the mouth. Well, he did. It's like they were being super aggressive. Anthony Davis was grabbing offensive boards. Even the team was struggling from the 3 at the beginning, but Anthony Davis was there. He was grabbing those boards and he was putting it back. Him or JaVale McGee. JaVale McGee had a pretty good showing in the beginning also. And my biggest takeaway from this game is that in 29 minutes, Anthony Davis scored 31 points. He even started hitting some threes. So maybe he did go to a shoot around. And from LeBron, he didn't have that big of a game. He had 10, 6, and 7, which whenever you compare to Bron standards, those aren't a good game. And imagine you're almost a triple-double, and that's not a best game from him. But they didn't need LeBron tonight. I feel like Anthony Davis was really like, all right, I got to go out there and do this, and which I feel he needs to. LeBron's 35 years old, and in year 17, even though it doesn't seem like he's feeling it, we know he's feeling it. So we need this young guy in Anthony Davis, a man who's still in his prime, go out there and score so that you can give your guys some rest. And that way, if you need LeBron, he's kind of like that the fire extinguisher where you just got to break the glass and let LeBron, finish out for you. If you need that, try not to do that. Let him get as much rest as he can. You're going to need him for these playoffs. But they did a real good job. Bron, I remember it was like halfway through the first and Bron sat for quite a while. And I'm like, wow, like they're sitting him already? But they really just came out there and punched him in the mouth. The shooting trouble, they ended up shooting 36% that night. They shot 14 for 36. They also had a great showing by their role players. I don't think LeBron or Anthony Davis played a lick in the fourth quarter, if I'm being quite honest. I don't remember seeing them. And everybody was pretty much on their second unit. And you figure maybe Portland, I didn't expect them to win, but I did expect them to crawl back a little bit. And they were up by 30 whenever LeBron and AD sat. And they ended up maintaining that gap for the whole fourth quarter, really. Not pretty much. They maintained that gap for the whole fourth quarter. And they ended up winning by 23 points, which is still 7 points shy of, the biggest lead that they had. So really shout out to those role players. J.R. Smith, I remember in the fourth quarter, he couldn't miss. It's like, this is the guy that y'all got a DNP, on game one. Why didn't he play? So really impressed. If they can go out there and do that for the rest of the series, I see this closing. And maybe my predicted, which was 5 games, rather than the 6 that I think. I'm pretty confident with 6, but they might, if they can do this for the rest, they can close it in 5. And especially with the unfortunate injury to Damian Lillard, who dislocated his finger on Anthony Davis' shoe, it looked like. So hopefully we see him back so that we have a fair competition. I want to say that too. For anybody who's like, oh, they won that game because Dame got hurt. Dame was in the third quarter whenever they had a 33-point lead. So I don't want anybody to say, oh, they only won because Dame got hurt, because they earned this one. But I'm excited to see the rest of the series. And that's the show for today. I hope that y'all enjoyed it. I'm going to be doing something special pretty soon, so make sure that you're following me on Twitter, Instagram, and right here on Facebook and YouTube. And until next week, I've been Dylan McElroy. See you guys later.